Am I live? I am live. There we go. I was like, the cuss? Why is it not showing on? I can never know when I'm live. Twitch always lets me know first that I'm live, but YouTube just never lets me know. So I never know if I'm live on YouTube. I'm probably live on YouTube right now, but I'm just... It's not showing me. Okay, let me open it up right here. Am I live? Come on. YouTube, don't fail me. Yes, I am live. And... Ooh. Oh, someone just followed me? Oh, that was... I have a voice thing in the back that tells me when someone follows? Hey, yo, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Am I live? Okay, good. I am. Okay, everything looked good. Green lights everywhere. Everything's looking good. Everything looks good. Okay, awesome. Hello, people. Seku-Senpai. I really need to, like, check that out before, but I never know until you press the live button. Anyways, hello, people. Seku-Senpai here, back for some more Witch on the Holy Night. Today, we're going to go through Chapter 3. I know we ended the last chapter. Things were getting heated up in the ending. Yo, our dude, I always forget his name. Our dude, the main dude, he saw some stuff last time. He was saying that he saw something at night. There's a lady with the glasses. He saw at that place he was working. He was like, well, man, she shouldn't be around. She should be dead or something. Something he saw at nighttime. So there's that. We still haven't seen what experiment that Aoko and Alice have been up to. And yeah, I think that's pretty much some stuff that I recollect and have been on my mind. So anywho, let's get this rolling. Man, I think chapter 3 is a shorter chapter too. I might do chapter 3 and 4. I'll see. And it's nighttime. See, everything goes down at nighttime, man. Is everything synced up, by the way? I'm not like out of sync. Yeah, that's all good. Okay, I think I'm good with. I think everything's in sync. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, let's get this going. Whew, chapter 3, night. Or it says nights. Is this chapter or episode 3? Let's click and let's see. I think it's episode 3. Chapter 3. Has to be. It says next episode. So yeah. Nights. Why I say nights abbreviated? Let me tell you how the events of yesterday transpired. The music was kind of eerie. On moonless nights, you must never look back. Was it a lesson or was it a warning? It was so very long ago. At the time, I could not have imagined that what my very being would become. One night, it came without warning. I was filled with an anxiety so heightened that it made me want to burst into tears. So I fled to my grandfather's workshop. Unlike the grandfather I knew, he smiled and kindly placed his hand on my head. Okay, so this is like flashback from what we had in the beginning, before we even had chapter 1. The thing with Aoko and the whole thing with the cat. Why they gotta do them cats? They did them cats dirty in the beginning. Yes, the Red Death follows you every step. Rather than consoling me, he sent me home with only those haunting words. That night, I'm certain that I sensed a shadow lurking behind me. Something or someone watching me from afar. Then little by little, year by year, it drew closer. Eventually the presence that once felt like a spot on the horizon grew so close that I could feel its breath down the base of my... Yo, that change of music is creepy. Of course, it was all in my mind. When I turned around, nobody was there. But that night marked the beginning. In hindsight, I later understood that the indescribable anxiety I felt was the dread of certain death. Yeah, that's eerie. How much time will pass past since that night? It'll linger deep in the recesses of my mind where childhood memories are kept. A faded, storybook-esque memory. On dark nights, I still hear the faint echo of my grandfather's words. But no matter how strong the wind may howl, or how entrancing the song of the girl next to me, I could never bury his ominous words completely.
ご到着ね。
The girl beside me said. Alice's inflectionless voice spoke volumes of her role as the bystander. That night there was only me and her. It was the night I would mark as the birth of who I am today. For what should have been quite the memorable night, it sure wasn't a promising start. Dense clouds blocked the starlight above like a black umbrella. Strong wind tore through the sky, carrying the heavy clouds with it. The hands on the clock in the middle of the park pointed skyward as if reaching for the moon. Unfortunately for them, tonight there was no moon to point at. That's a nice jacket. The winter air grew fiercer as the night wore on. Inhaling felt as though it would freeze me from the inside. The air chilled me to the bone, threatening to pass up my spine directly to my brain, to prevent my mind from being paralyzed, and to prevent my fingertips from becoming stone. I sparked a fire using my internal rhythm and emotion.
触覚を譲るわ。幸運ね。あの位置なら刻んでおいたウィスプが止まる。
Huh. I responded to Alice with a nod. And then, for just a moment, I saw the ground. My legs quivered ever so faintly. I told myself they were shaking from the cold, but I wasn't sure. In reality, they may not have been numbed by the cold, but by fear. I breathed a sigh of relief. My humanity must still be intact, and my emotions are still present. Before I could sink into a pool of my own sentimentality, the sensations from the bounded field followed from Alice into me. A transparent wall covered the entire park, an unrecognizable carpet rooted deep under the earth. Alice Kulanji's chants of the Mother Goose fairy tales permeated the night. The sensations that became one with my body. Ooh! I felt goosebumps on my quivering right arm. Someone had trespassed. Ooh, an unknown entity. The goosebumps crept up my right arm like ants, and slowly but surely made inroads for my heart. Holding back the desire to drive them out, I waited for them to reach a certain, definitive position. A moonless night. The park's quaint streetlights were not enough to lift the darkness. The ants came to a stop. Far, far from my right arm, they reached my very heart. Ooh, what's that? Even without the aid of my sense of sight, I could see the intruder lurking in the darkness. The starboard in the bushes about 30 steps back, on all fours, it was beckoning with his right hand.
Soko!
The enemy's movements and my perception of it were in lockstep. I spun around. The enemy's right arm stretched out like a sphere. Oh! This lethal weapon, aimed at the back of my head, brushed my hair at breakneck speed. With the omniscient view granted by Alice's word, I managed to avoid it by the skin of my teeth. My hair fanned through the air from the violence of the attack. The attack grazed my cheek, and I felt a small, sharp pain. It felt like the kiss of death. Ooh. And that's too close, Alco. I switched the flow of my body's blood to a different cycle. The blood running through my veins at a few feet per second. My body became a single circuit, and my heart transformed into a completely different engine. An unknown motion of immeasurable heat. A mystic, yet untapped by humankind, that made me who I am. The fire light behind all miracles and fables. Oh, she's gonna grab it? This is what we mages call magical energy.
Setto.
Ooh. I turned around, set the enemy in my sights, and held up one hand. My arm was an agent of my will. My lack of experience meant my magecraft would only be possible with the voice of vocalizations and gestures. Okay. Magical formulae were engraved all over the park. All I had to do was ignite them. I needed to direct the flow of the magical energy of my body into each formula. Typical. A mage acts as a conduit. Whether wired or wireless, the mage simply pours magical energy into the formula. Releasing this energy in the form of a projectile stream or any number of other methods would usually suffice, but in my case, it was the feeling of my limbs wimping out. Just a blast of magic. I thought speed was speed. Woo! Okay. The enemy's arm, extended 10 feet forward, became engulfed in flames. It was nighttime at the park, the scene reminiscent of a campfire, but one in which the center of the flames contained a humanoid figure wriggling out like a shadow puppet. The flame subsided just as unnaturally as it had ignited. No crackling, no burning smell. Oh, enemy defeated, or incapacitated. After telling this to Alex, I headed toward the motionless figure. This is burning. I killed it. Oh, yeah, it's dead. I killed it. I killed it. She killed it, y'all. Regardless of who my opponent was, I just took someone's life. My throat parched. I swallowed the truth that without the sense of reality, I would have been helpless. So hard and bitter, impossible to swallow, but I tried to anyway. I was unnervingly calm. My heart pounded and my breath felt heavy, but my mind was nonetheless calm. By the time I realized it, the charred remains were already in front of me. Bracing for a counterattack, I carefully examined the corpse. Everything seemed fine. This body lying slumped to the ground was nothing but ash. Oh, but something wasn't right. To begin with, its remains didn't smell organic. Not willing to believe my hunch, I took a closer look at the corpse's face. All that greeted me was the featureless white face of a mannequin. Fooled. Screaming, I kicked the mannequin. The corpse rumbled to ash and disappeared with the wind. No, this was no corpse. This was a puppet. And for all our efforts to lure the master out, we had once again been tricked by a familiar. My debut, my first test out in the open, will be postponed for another day. Hey, at least you gotta get out and do it. I don't know, do something. Pass this test, huh? At that moment, I suddenly noticed something familiar in the corner of my eye. Something seemed strange about the slide on the other end of the park. It appeared as though its shadows were larger than it should be. Was I still drunk on the high of a battle? It took me a second to realize what it was. Is it someone? A human? Calling out was a mistake. Oh no, because they might recognize your voice. Startled by my voice, the figure wearing a familiar high school uniform took a step back and then broke into a sprint, like someone running for their life. Or should I say, he was doing exactly that. In a rush, I shouted to my partner, but she hadn't even noticed the third party's presence in the first place. Though it wasn't as if I could move by myself, embarrassingly, the fight had taken more out of me than I had liked. We gotta eliminate. Forget about questioning them. We gotta eliminate them. There was no time for nice teas. For us, being seen here was a matter of life and death. Oh, so this is a big mission or whatever they're up to. Oh, that might be, yeah, that's the name. Sojiro. Is it Sojiro? It has to be. I mean, who else would it be? It could be someone else. Shaking off the numbness in my legs, I made for the park's exit. I had to admire his escape. The witness, party to the entire night's proceeding, had disappeared into the darkness of the residential district without a trace. Maybe they're different. Maybe they're like you. I don't know. Complaining to myself wouldn't bring back the figure in the uniform. Bitter at my own incompetence, I gave up the chase. Though temporary, The park had become Alice's woods. Woods. For anyone within a few feet of the park, other park goers, identifiable figures and voices became murky, like the stuff in fairy tales. Tonight's proceedings may have had a witness, but our identities were still hidden. Then this was still a chance. But you said you shouted out your voice. I returned to the park. The uniform was, without a doubt, from my high school. That was clue enough. If he was a schoolmate of mine, I had plenty of methods to flush him out. Ooh, okay. She's almost student council president too. Unfortunately. Amidst my grumbling, I set my priorities straight. Before some strange rumor spread, I needed to seal the witness's mouth shut. That was the highest priority, quickly and without mercy. Hopefully Sojiro, I think he could keep a secret. I mean, who's gonna believe him anyways? Looking up, I saw Alice's previously distant figure. Though she was in as much trouble as I was with her existence as a magus, still also exposed, she had but one thing to say. Her statue-like figure, staring into the darkness, seemed more expressionless than calm. She was pissed off. Her inscrutable voice resembled the moonless night so much and made me angry. Yo, Alice is mad. I'm mad. Everyone's mad. Man. Well, y'all should have just been a bit more careful. I mean, if anything, that's why they are mad at themselves. Oh, wow, that's that? That is a short chapter. That was short. I heard it was short, but where am I? So that was chapter 2. Incident at the night. So that was chapter 3. Okay, so now we just move on to chapter 4. Okay, we'll go chapter 4. So this is chapter 3 and 4. Short chapters. Blues in her name. There really isn't any other way of saying this. I am a magician. There we go. Do I have any water? Dang it, I never have water. Kind of like those witches. I like this theme. Even the last time I heard this theme, I think about them cats at the beginning. But kind of like those witches in fairy tales who live alone in the woods and perform miracles with the wave of a finger. While the popular depiction of it differs from reality, it is closer to truth than you know. Though, just so we're clear, no, I don't fly through the sky in a broom. That'd be funny to see. But I cannot transform into animals or speak with small birds. Modern mages are nothing so fanciful. Our existence sounds unbelievable, but we're quite grounded. Though it may seem like we can do anything, we're actually majorly constrained. And while I still have a lot to learn about it, this is my real job. Sounds a lot more romantic than being a high school student, right? Naturally, this is a secret I don't just share with anyone. Oh, well, I'm glad to share it. Okay. A mage must do everything in their power to conceal their work. I'll move this way. There we go. Now I'm censored. This was the first and most important of an association's 10 laws. Not that I'm tempted to let the cat out of the bag in the least. Did I go back to that? Conceal the work. Yeah, it makes sense. My secret identity as an honor student is intact. And absolutely no good would come of me revealing my true nature. Of course, people would be like, what the? You're a witch? You could do magic? You're a mad magician? If anything, it'd only lead to more headaches. That's why I do everything in my power to keep it a secret. Of course, if I'd accomplished anything as a magician by now, then maybe I'd see it differently. I fantasize about revealing my secret life's work to a single, special person when I finally make something of myself. Oh, a lover in the future, maybe? Yeah, it'd be pretty stellar to just confess one day, by the way, I'm a magician. That idea alone is enough to keep me from spoiling the big reveal, regardless of the association's rules. I don't care. I think that'd be kind of cool. My grandfather patted me on the head when I shared these thoughts with him. I don't know if it was praise or what, but I remember that his touch was gentle. I first learned that I would be succeeding my grandfather on the day I graduated middle school. When I returned home, there he was.
Your elder sister left on a journey. From this day forth, you are the hero of the Aozaki.
He said in such a matter of a fact way. I knew that the Aozaki family passed down its old tradition of magecraft, but to be honest, I never imagined that I would be one to wield it. Magecraft is supposed to be passed down to a single child. Oh, yeah, that's kind of true. Trying to think about, like, is it? Yeah. It was my sister's role to take the mantle, and I had no interest in dedicating myself to so many rules and routines. I planned to live a normal life. I had hopes and dreams for the future. I felt bad for my sister, but I was determined to live my life my way. I feel that. And while I managed to do just that for a time, I was blindsided by a vicious counterpunch. Since then, I've been thrust headlong into a world that I had only absorbed from afar. It was a hell of a way to start high school, but I suppose it wasn't all that bad, all things considered. Okay, so actually that makes sense considering her thoughts on the previous chapter, the night chapter, where she was like, oh man, I'm still like new to, she like phrased something like she was like new to some of this like stuff, and it makes sense. Let's do a quick save in case, but okay, that makes sense. Okay, but she is still relatively new. She's seen other people use magecraft and magic, but she herself has not performed it until she graduated middle school. So, and she's what, second year too? So it's only been 2 years. Okay, a lot has happened since then. I was so dazed by this newfound life that a year of high school motored right by. I was the second year before I knew it. Thankfully, nothing drastic has happened. The 6 months my roommate and I totally tried to kill each other with notwithstanding. As it happens, I've got a natural talent at this magic stuff, so I've yet to have any hang-ups there either. Okay, so she's a fast learner. I'm only human, so I've had my fair share of headaches for sure, but I never once did I worry about my future. I thought my life would be smooth sailing all the way. If only everything had gone to plan last night. Until now. She said it was smooth sailing until now. There's always going to be some detours no matter the road. Alice Kunji asked Aoko Aozaki the second she entered the house. Her dark eyes succeeding where her voice failed to communicate the gravity of the situation. Aoko took off her unflattering coat, hung on the hanger, and sat down on the sofa. Alice sat across from her, with the table separating them.
そっちはよくないわね。偵察に行けるのは7個ぐらい。ここのところ使ってばかりで作り置きをする余裕もなかったし。
Alice's gaze drifted from Aoko to the box on the table. Oh.
あの夜、町を監視していたやつはいないの？町の偵察は完璧なんでしょ？そいつら。それは昼間の話よ。夜間飛行は危険が多いわ。
There's some flying them at night. Meaning they were of the least use when needed most. Literally.
そういうあなた。
That's how it was. Murphy's Law, man.
朝は随分と強気だったけど。
Huh. Yeah, she said, I have a way of getting them out, you know.
こっちは予定通りよ。明日までには絞り込めると思う。今朝、飛び丸にうちの生徒の自宅と行動時間を調べさせたから。あの時間に公園をうろつくやつはめったにいないし、簡単に割り出せる。
Well, you know, gotta be Sojiro. I mean, I know it's gonna be him, but I'm curious what his thoughts are on those. I mean, considering how he responded to the previous thing with that other lady with the glasses, I do know who she is, but I'll wait for them to reveal it. But considering the whole thing with the lady with the glasses and how he responded to that and how like bro ran, he saw her at his workplace and he sprinted out of his place. Just like how he saw this and he ran away too. I'm assuming it has to be him who ran away. It could be someone else, but I think it's Sojiro. He's the only character I've
そう
seen.
簡単に行くの？
I mean, we go to like guy characters that we've met so far. Tobimaru, I know it's not him. Tobimaru, Kinomi, and Suzuki. I mean, there's actually a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it's that 7 people we haven't met yet. Added 5 by 3, 15. So we only met half the people so far, or a little more than half. But how can you be so sure?
行くわよ。伊達に生徒会に勤めてないわ。その程度のデータは揃えてある。
That's smart.
月1のバイト先はおろか、親しい友人宅との移動時間、その優先順位まで調べ上げてるんだから。
That is really
人には見せ
ingenious.
たくなかったリストだけど、そんな余裕ないでしょ。だからそういうのが向いてる副会長にやらせたの。
Like, yo, Tobimaru is useful for that. That's why he's around. That's what he does best. Incidentally, the creation of the Secret Life file started the moment Aoko became student council president. The mere rumor of its existence was enough to strike fear into the entire student body. That is, yo, imagine having someone who knows about everyone's schedules and life. Like,
So,
that is a little, that's scary. Like, Alice was only mildly surprised. It had been almost 2 years since they first started living together. She knew as well as anyone that when Aoko put her mind to something, she saw through it to the end.
ま、私もあれがこんな風に役立つとは思ってもみなかったけど。ほんと、備えあれば憂いなしとはこのことね。
That's true. But what happened last night was far beyond a mere exception to the rule. This predicament should not have been possible.
それより、原因は分かったの？結界の結びに不手際があったなんてのは聞かないわよ。
Ako glared at her. She's like, come on, you had a job to do and you couldn't do it. Like, what did happen though? Like, the word was Alice's responsibility. If it was to blame for last night's trouble, Alice had to own up to her fair share. Ooh. Alice and Ako may have been roommates and partners, but it was a relationship of convenience. Yep, we know about that. While lineage had brought them together, they were more like enemies than allies. Okay. I'm like burning up all of a sudden. What the heck? Next thing you know, I'm about to be cold. But ultimately, they were just not a match. Where there was a blunder, it was punished. Ooh. Where there was an opening, it would be attacked. If there was an opportunity, the two of them would kill each other in the event of such a moment. Dang. Okay. So it's like that. Alice locked eyes with Aoko. Aoko's fierce gaze could make a grown man cower in fear, but Alice did not bat an eyelash. Yeah, Alice keeping that poker face.
仮の話だけど、あの結界に落ち度があったのなら、今まで何度もこういう状況になっていたでしょうね。
That's a good count. That's a good argument. I suppose you're right. Aoko agreed, as the question reaffirmed her trust in Alice.
結界のあり方は完璧だったのね。絶対とまでは断言はできないけど。
Oh. Alice answered as flatly as ever. A bounded field is like a sanctuary sealed away from the real world. Steps are taken whereby a certain area is cut off from the outside world. There are various kinds of bounded fields. Oh, okay, I didn't know there was multiple kinds. Okay, that's cool. There are physical ones that close off an area behind a wall, and less tangible ones that use mirrors, mists, or trees to conceal that which occurs within. Okay. However, when closing off an area to the outside world, you cannot avoid communicating the abnormality's existence. In other words, the area may be closed off to the outside world, but it is impossible to hide the fact that it is closed off. Okay. In time, someone will take interest in a sealed off area, even if they cannot see what's going on inside. Yeah. That's true. Some may say this is putting the cart before the horse. I like that saying. But the ideal field would be one that was both undetectable and impervious to interference from the outside. That was exactly the kind Alice had generated in the park the night before.
その場所に用があっても 今はないように思わせれば誰もそこには立ち入らない。隠したい場所の周りに一時的な意識の改ざんを促す結界を張る。手間はかかるんだけど、1時間程度の人よけには信頼性は高い結界よね。アリスの鏡を使った一級品だし、途中で破れることもない。事実入ってきたのはあの人形だけだとはっきり感じられた。これで完璧じゃなかったら何が完璧なのよ。私もわからない。森作りに落ち度はなかったわ。
They said everything was perfectly set up, so how did this one person interfere?
森は数日かけて栽培したものだし、今まで通り信頼できる結界よ。けど例外があったのなら、どこかで見落としがあったのね。
What could that be? Though Alice's words conceded the possibility, her eyes expressed her confidence that she had overlooked nothing.
参った。こうなると、一番いいのは、あいつが人形使いだってパターンね。
That would make sense if it was
そ
the
れならか
puppeteer,
ろうじて
but...
納得できる。問
Or
題は、
maybe someone
侵入した
who's
時の違和感をどう
a
やって
mage,
消
but
し
they
たかっ
don't
て
know
ことだ
it?
けど。
Maybe? Or something like that, I don't know. But something bothers me. How did he avoid detection? The thought of being targeted by this individual was pretty terrifying. Yeah, especially if they could just get into their bounded fields and they can't even detect them at that, so it'd be like an assassin. If they were able to penetrate Alice's field, it could only mean that their skill in magecraft was superior to Alice's. Alice in her current state would be completely helpless against such a foe.
その線はないわ。
Oh, it's not a mage.
彼は部外者よ。ムクドリはともかく、ロビンが後をたどれなかったもの。
Oh,
魔
so
力の気
okay,
配
so
は
it's not a
全くな
magician
し。誰かの魔術で操られている犠牲
or
者
a mage. I mean,
というのもないわね。
he wants it. Okay. Alko was quickly running out of straws to grasp at, and that meant she was out of questions to ask. All she could do was call a bad luck and leave it at that. Guess so. Maybe it's fate. Maybe.
魔術師の秘密を見られて、おまけに目撃者を逃がしたか。
The sofa groaned as she leaned back. Her gaze went up to the brown ceiling with a sigh. It wasn't much of a view. She was becoming increasingly
青
depressed.
子、覚悟を決めておいて。
Her roommate's voice seemed different, but Alko just kept staring up at the wooden ceiling.
それとも、あなたにできないのなら、私が言ってあげてもいいけど。
The cool-mannered girl's statement carried an equally icing implication. Alko took the words in slowly with as much sincerity as she could muster. It was like trying to swallow molten lead. That's nasty.
そうだ。覚悟なんて。
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I've already made up my mind. Okay. The thought sounded hollow, even as it popped into her head. Oh yeah, the Game Awards are tonight. I forgot about that. The Gaming Awards. This was clearly different from last time. While the aim was indeed the same, the circumstances surrounding her target were clearly different. She may have been determined before, but that was as a mage. If enemies emerged, she would kill them. If she was challenged, she would step up to the fight. It was a fight between two mages, and her opponent was in the wrong. Even if this could only lead to death for one of them, it was an outcome both parties could accept. Kill or be killed. Morality had no weight on the scale. But this time was different. Her opponent was neither enemy or mage. Even if she was prepared to kill them, this person was likely not ready to die. That's why morality did factor into it now. She was truly up to the task of murdering an innocent person. She could swallow the fact that this was a common occurrence for a mage. She snorted sardonically. Sardonically? I've never heard of that word, actually. Being a mage did not mean that Alko was some kind of monk who could cut ties with the real world on a whim. It's not easy. There was one thing Alko hated. It was doing things without conviction or an understanding of exactly why she was doing them. Did not understand why she was okay. When she acted, she preferred to act decisively. Acting with reason.
やるしかないだろうね。
As she said it, she got up from the sofa, having had her fill of the ceiling for one day. Aoko had returned to the Aoko of always, and Alice was done probing her.
じゃあ、これ。
Okay, enough of this business talk. Let's chat. Let's chill. As if to reward her, Alice produced a small bottle. Ooh, what is that? It fit neatly in the palm of her hand. The power of the sun, the palm of my hand. Oh, my bad. The bottle looked completely out of place on her slender fingers. The glass was cloudy, and it appeared empty. Some shreds of paper remained on the front where there was once a label.
何よそれ。
Yeah, what was in there? What that does look suspicious. Aoko stared at the bottle suspiciously.
収納の小瓶。ちょうど一つ余ってたから、あげるわ。
Thank you.
はい。名前は忘れたけど、中国の小説に出てきたのと同じよ。
Aoko was miraculously able to parse what Alice meant.
それってレンゲ堂の兄弟の話？じゃああの赤いひょうたんと同じなわけ？言いたくないけど、そこら辺の風邪薬のラベルを無理やり剥がして小瓶に見せかけてるそれが？
She's like, yo, this thing sounds important, but it's not looking important. Alice looked at the bottle and acknowledged how ordinary it looked. She also understood that she would not be the one using it as she set it on the table.
赤いひょうたんじゃなくて、陽子玉の上瓶の方。そういう問題じゃない。私は魔術師としての雰囲気を論じてるんだ。些細なことを気にするのね。せいろがんの瓶じゃないだけいいと思うけど。
She made a good point.
蓋を開けて相手の名前を尋ねればいいから。ただし相手に抵抗する意志が残っている場合、小瓶は割れるから気をつけて。
Okay. Aoko raised her eyebrows.
ちょっと待った。抵抗する意志があるとダメって、眠っている時にやれってこと？それは試したことがなかったわ。
So you don't know.
眠っているのに返事をする人っているの？
Well, unconsciously, I guess.
たまにいるけど。まあ確かに珍しいわね、そういう人。
In that case, I would have to weaken them until they were about to pass out.
そうそう。薬や魔術がかかっていると、その重さでも割れるから気をつけて。
Well, that's great.
使えないそれってほとんど役立たずってことじゃない。それは青子次第ね。
Then why'd you give it to me? Alice returned away as she replied, as if the topic no longer mattered to her.
はあ、アリスがこういう小道具好きなのは知ってたけどね。これも趣味なわけ？
Aoko asked, hoping Alice would deny it.
多分。それで
She doubled
どうす
down
るの？
on it. She said, yeah, it
持っ
is
ていく
maybe.
のか行かないのか。
It may be useful, why not? Without answering, Aoko dithered a bit before taking the bottle and putting it in her pocket. She figured she might be able to find some use for it. Okay. Hey. 2 hours had passed, and the clock struck at 9. Their conversation had moved from the drawing room to the sunroom, and had manifested into the kind of scene one would not expect of such a mansion. Mansion, only 2 people. What is that? That looks
飛丸
good.
に任せる気はなかったんだけど。
A hot earthenware pot sat on the table. Ako spat out complaints, so to no one in particular, as she plucked food from it with her chopsticks. Oh man, I gotta go for some hot pot before the end of the year, man. I only went to this place in town once. Oh man, it looks good. But anyways, tonight they were eating a traditional Japanese meal that looked out of place in this mansion. When it came to the kind of Japanese hot pot where all one had to do was buy and boil ingredients, it was usually Aoko's responsibility. Alice sat across from Aoko as she silently poked at the pot with a fork.
山城のやつが来るなり、しずきくんはまだ部活に入っていないから面倒を見てあげてくれないかななんて言ってくるもんだからさ。
The egg she had plucked was still as silky as a baby's bottom. So she returned it to the pot. She settled for the shirataki noodles instead.
そりゃあのバカがバイトで忙しいのは知ってるわ。だからできるだけ春先までのんびりしてて、あんなのでも親身になってくれそうな部の部長に当たってみたのに、ありがとうの一つもないってのはちょっと尺に触るわよね。ねえ、聞いてるアリス。
As if her mouth was full, she simply nodded in response. Her expression stated that she had no interest or no opinion in the matter, but she at least appeared to be listening. Satisfied, Aoko nibbled on some hanpin fish cake.
それに私、いい人なんて言われるやつは信用できないのよ。あろうことか、飛び丸までそんなこと口走る始末だし。あれはいい人なんじゃなくて、ただぼんやりしてるだけなんだっての。
Yo, when you're trying to enjoy your meal and someone just talking to you the whole time, I hate that. I'm like, okay, man, I'm down to listen to you, but not while I'm eating. I hate when that happens when I'm on a break at work, man. I'm over here trying to eat some lunch and someone wants to talk. I'm like, bro, I know this is like the only time we get to talk because we're working at something, but like, come on, man, like.
大体あそこまで言われて怒りもしないなんてどうかしてるわ。
I got a limited time to not be stressing about other things. Like, her thoughts went to what had happened in the student council room earlier that day. She remembered how non-responsive Soichiro had been to her words. His unconcerned face alone was enough for her to swallow the rest of her hanpin without chewing it.
何が分かってるんだなよ。
His words were a lot like those that ended her childhood.
青子ちゃんは分かっているんだね。それでも自分であり続けられるということはとても強いことなんだよ。
From her sister? Perhaps it wasn't meant as a compliment. But she took it as a patronizing way to pity her. Because the person who said it had acted like she was looking at a wounded animal.
あんな変態の言ってたことなんて今更どうでもいいけどさ。
That's what you say, but you're thinking about it right now. The episode might have made her the most confused she had ever been in her life. Yet what shocked young Aoko the most was the look of pity on the face of the person she admired the most.
喧嘩。
You fought. The abrupt comment stopped her in her tracks.
ごめん、聞いてなかった。喧嘩ってあの喧嘩？
Alice nodded.
あなたの感想だけじゃ状況はよくつかめないけど、つまり青子はその人に喧嘩を売りたかったのね。
Alice bit into the very last hanpin. Her face. Her remark was unexpected but completely on point.
なんでそうなるのよ。私はあんなのと1秒だって関わりたくないだけだってば。だいたいそれどころじゃないし、興味とか全くないし。
Gross.
会話もこれ以上ないってぐらい簡潔に切り上げたし。
Huh? Are you sure about that? That sounded quite tsundere of you.
それは
Why all this talk
あん
exactly?
たに今日の調査過程を知
Why
ら
is
せ
he
てあ
on
げ
your
たのよ。
mind?
それ以外何があるっていうの？
What other reason could Alice be suggesting Aoko had for bringing it up? It would be several hours later in bed that Aoko realized that she had dug her own grave.
いいけど、私は別に。ただ、青子は本当にその人が嫌いなの？
Alice ate her hot pot in silence as if she was honoring some sort of sacred ritual. Her face was indifferent as always, but she was secretly enjoying how flustered Aoko was. Aoko was none the wiser to this. Yo, Alice over here just vibing. Normally she would have noticed immediately, but she was not quite herself at this moment.
本当にって、そりゃそうよ。気に食わないって何度も言ってるじゃない。
そう。 具体的には？
は？具体的にはってそんなのに理由なんて。
Yes, Alice, ask the questions. She trailed off as she finally realized how disagreeable she was being. She could come up with no reason why. Her instincts had told her that she was incompatible with a hick. But why such a strong reaction? More than anything in the world, Alko hated emotions without reason, and decisions made with no rationale.
嫌いなものは嫌
It's
いなんだから、
contradicting your way of
ちゃんと
thought, like.
どっかに理由があるんだと思うけど。
Okay, if you say so. She became more flustered the more she talked. Unfortunately for her, she could not come up with a coherent reason to hate Sojiro Shizuki. It was not his fault that he had zero common sense. Yeah, it's not his fault. It was the fault of the environment he grew up in. In fact, it was admirable that he was trying so hard to adapt to civilized society. As clueless as he might seem, he was not a complete waste of space. If he seemed a bit slow, it was only because his gentle nature compelled him to think before acting. When one looked at everything objectively, the conclusion was obvious. As much as she was loath to admit it, he really was the good guy everyone had pegged him as.
ちょっと本気かっての。人間的に悪いところ、本当にみじんもないのか？
Sojiro just over here being his Sojiro self. There was plenty, so she left it at that for now. The chopsticks she had been using came to a stop. She was getting very annoyed. An irrational hatred burned through her head. Unable to come to terms with her feelings, she desperately tried to analyze Sojiro, but her mind only went in more circles. Alice fixed Alko with a deadpan stare.
呆れた。
A small sigh. She's like, oh, wow.
らしくないわ
You
ね。
really are like that?
あ
Okay. Yeah, she's like, oh man, you're acting different. What's this? Love? Romance? Catching feels? Those words were the final blow. Alko felt the floor fall from under her. She was unable to leave her chair until long after Alice had finished eating and left. A. O. Click tock on the clock. However, even after getting knocked down, Alko Aozaki was not one to be kept that way. She made short work of clearing up after dinner, and after conceding the first bath of the night to Alice, left the drawing room. Since it was customary in these sorts of mansions to turn the lights off when leaving an empty room, the only lit areas of the house were the drawing room and the two girls' bedrooms. The upstairs, man, the footsteps are scary. The upstairs was enveloped by darkness. Ako briskly made her way to the deepest part of the east wing along the long corridor, illuminated only by the light of the moon, and arrived at her room. Light of the room, moon. Light of the room. Light of the moon. Okay.
結論として、やっぱり騙し討ちは気に食わない。
She had been considering this on the way down the corridor, or perhaps ever since she left the drawing room. The moment she entered her room, she drew her proverbial line in the sand. What was that? All being said, sneak attacks maybe 6 to the stomach. Huh.
やるにしても隠れるのはなし。正面から堂々と向かい合って理由を言う。
This was not a concession driven by feelings of sympathy or compassion. For her, this was simply the way things ought to be.
よし、そうと決まれば。
Okay. She doesn't like to be hung up on things. I feel that. After settling her resolve, she headed to the study next door. Hey.
えーっ
Who are you
と、
looking at?
木曜棚の当時欄、緑の背表紙
Solstice,
と
green spine. Without hesitating, she removed one book from the countless volumes on the shelf. The introductory textbooks transported her here from the Aozaki residence were separated into 6 shelves, labeled Monday to Saturday. Aoko had organized the books by topic, genre, and purpose, and had more or less memorized exactly what was in her personal library. Referencing any of this material took her no time at all, as was befitting the role of the keeper of the study. Though this keeper's fiefdom was nothing more than a small room. Fiefdom, I've never heard that word either. Both Aoko and Alice had given up all hope in the cluttered mess of a library in the annex. Actually, have I heard? I think I've heard fiefdom. That sounds okay. Nevertheless, on occasion, Aoko would have no option than to give Alice a thumbs up and visit it when the study did not meet her needs.
できればそれは避けたいところだけど。
Aoko placed the thick green book down and took a seat. The desk she sat at was sturdy but uninviting. It wasn't the sort of furniture girls her age grew attached to, but she liked its minimalistic elegance nonetheless. Oh, yeah. She likes the aesthetic. She flipped lightly through the book's old, worn pages.
アリスみたいな結界は私にはまだ無理だ。
I mean, you're still new to it, new magic and stuff, so go down. I could do like Q and stuff. What's that?
人払いはその場所自体に頼らないといけないか。
Wait, I could change my volume? I didn't even know I could do that. Okay. I didn't know I could change my headphone volume. Okay. The mountains. The woods. The school building. Empty night. Wait, what's she talking about anyways? Was she talking about Battlefields? Okay. She was looking for a place that would be, except the worst of luck, void of people, allowing her to forego the use of magecraft.
茨の壁だの魔力の霧だの。そういう回りくどいのもなんだしな。退路を断つっていうなら、もっとこう見た目にも状況的にも派手な方が効果的だし。
Wondering about how there had to be some basic spell that fit her needs, she continued to flip through the pages. It goes without saying that she was looking for a way to deal with the witness from the previous night. Okay. Plan a counter attack, or try to prevent anything from like that happening in the future. Magecraft's uses were many, but not all-encompassing. Fundamentally, magecraft was good for making things or phenomena that existed already, while more or less bypassing the time and resources conventional means would require. It was, however, unable to manifest phenomena that were impossible in this world. It was essentially an equivalent exchange that used a variety of shortcuts. A phenomenon made possible by human hands, actualized by an individual's power. That was generally what magecraft was. It was. To give a simple example, if Aoko were so inclined, she could make an entire lake disappear at the mansion. Appear at the mansion? Oh, really? However, it had to be something that existed within this world. Nothing, not even the smallest matter, could escape this unbreakable law. So you can't make something from nothing, essentially. You have to have something that exists already. Right? That's what I'm getting there? It had to be something that exists in this world, yeah. Even if Aoko were to release a level of heat on par with F-15 fighter jets afterburner, the event would only be possible if the circuit named Aoko Aozaki acted as a temporary input variable in a magical formula. Excuse me. The derived equivalence was simply a value that already occurred in reality. If the variable in the equation did not exist elsewhere in reality, the spell would not be valid. The imaginary element known as magecraft energy was like a lie that could only slip as a fantasy through the network of order at the moment of ignition. Giving form to the non-existent illusions, invading reality was something the universe did not allow.
とは言っても、エーテルは基本何にでもできるんで、大元が嘘なんだっけ。魔力だけで構成されたものは幻想扱いされて急速に消えていくとか。典型的な結界、茨の壁とかはもともと茨を生やしておいて 魔力で一気に成長強化してるものだし、魔
Okay.
力っていうのは結局使い勝手のいいガソリン兼事象に火をつける火花ってわけで、
Okay, I follow.
なんて言いつつ架空要素云々より基本的な回路の接続と魔力を加工して弾くことぐらいしかできないのよね、私。
Laughing to herself, she looked for a bounded field or something similar more suited for her current ability. The identity of the witness was still unknown, but if they were a classmate of Alco's, she had any number of pretexts by which to lure them out. The problem was after that.
そうなると問題は命中率よね。一撃で決めないと逃げられちゃうだろうし。
To be honest, she wasn't confident she could handle this smoothly without Alice's support. But Alco saw no reason to ask for help, given that the target in question was a regular bystander. Fledgling as she was, she still had her pride as a mage. She continued to turn through the pages rhythmically. In the midst of the fluttering sound of thumbing through the volume, Alco suddenly stopped her fingers at a certain page. Oh, your answer?
見つけた。
Yep. She smiled to herself. It was a simple formula that she had tucked away somewhere in the creases of her memory, as well as simple destruction.
檻をね、作ればいいのよ。狩りをする時の常套手段じゃない。獲物を逃げられないようにするのは。
Okay. A cage. She placed a bookmark in the book closed it, and got up and returned to her room. Suddenly, she felt someone watching her. Through the window, she saw her in the night, a girl staring back with a cold-hearted expression. The girl's face was hers, the expression undoubtedly her own. She began planning how to erase the witness. Though to say it was something as elaborate as a plan was overkill. This was just a job. She was going to make a cage and then lure her prey into it. There was no getting around it. Premeditated violence.
さ、そろそろアリスは上がったかな。
Just time for me to take mine. Spoken in the hope a bath would return some warmth to her chilled heart. About 20 minutes had passed since she gave Alice the privilege of first the hot water. Alice tended to bathe quickly, finishing with well under 10 minutes. Her roommate was the type that could not understand the spirit of the bath, treating it as nothing more than a necessity to look after one's body. For Alice, the concept of staying in a hot spring sounded more like a chore than anything, though in this regard, Alco had to agree.
よし、浴場はカラッと。あれ、今に電気ついてる？
Is someone in there? It was unnatural for Alice to sit in the drawing room after her bath. On nights when she had nothing to discuss, it was her style to return directly to her bedroom.
アリス、いるの？
You have an intruder? Oh! This scared me. I thought there was someone else in there. Okay. Alice nodded. With no book in hand, it appeared that Alice had been waiting for Alco.
そういうこと。私も信用ないな、ほんと。
Alco scratched her head in exasperation. It was that Alice was worried about her, or had no faith in her. Her expression was so calm, Alco could hardly figure what she was thinking.
方針なら決まったけど、聞く？
その顔を見れば聞かなくてもわかるわ。迷いがなくなったのはいいことだけど。悪い癖ね、青子。
Alice let out a small sigh. It was unusual for Alice to make such a display of her disappointment.
ええ、騙し討ちは趣味じゃないから。殺すにしても正々堂々。
That's true. She
正
did
面か
say
ら
that.
理由を言った後にする。それならすっぱり後腐れもないし。文句ある？
文句はないわ。そういうの、
Yeah,
好きか
so
嫌いかはこの
hey,
際
it's your
関係
plan.
ない
You
でしょうし。
execute it.
けど、
確実性はどうかってことでしょ。
Yeah.
私いまいち命中率悪いし、その辺の問題は場所選びでフォローしようかなと。
It's nice of her that she's like willing to like confer with Alice about this, you know.
私はアリスのようにはいかないから、物理的に逃げられない場所にしようと思うんだけど、何かアイディアない？
Alice nodded in thought. The finger that gently rested on her lips indicated that the question was to her liking.
鏡はどう？鏡の国なら永遠に閉じ込めていられるけど。
That's messed up.
あんたそういうところ常識ないわよね。
She frowned at Alice's bad taste. It was the kind of idea her roommate found to be inspired, but Alice knew was out the question. Alco looking for a natural bounded field she could prepare was not a realm bordering a true magic that she couldn't create to begin with.
なら他を当たるのね。でもここを使うのだけはやめてちょうだい。
言われなくても分かってるって。
Hey, ain't no one allowed to come to this house.
あー、けどそうね。
What's that?
ミラー
What's
ハ
that
ウスはい
expression?
いアイディアかも。
Bottom of things is trope there. Okay. Alco smirked and shifted her balance away from the wall she was resting on.
サンキュー、アリス。全体の流れは出来上がったわ。
What do you have in mind?
Honto.
Now I'm
こういう
curious.
のってダメ元でも相談してみるものよね。
That's true. Even if they don't give you an idea, you may inspire your own idea. I don't know. Now in a good mood, Alco retreated from the drawing room. Alice tried and failed to visualize what kind of blueprint Alco had drawn up in her mind, but wherever it was, it appeared to be the thorough kind Alco was good at. Alco headed for the bathroom, humming to herself as she went. A year and a half of sharing a living space had taught Alice something. When Alco Aozaki was in this good of a mood, only deep trouble could follow.
青子一人に任せていいのか。
Was that the bird talking to her? Chirping? It was unclear how long the bird had been in the drawing room. Chirping at Alice, the robin-like bird pranced across the furniture as if it were its property.
そうね。彼女が一人でやると言ったのだから、任せるのが正しい信頼関係なんでしょうけど。
The girl in the black raised her arm. The bird chirping once again alighted to her outstretched, affectionate finger.
嫌な話だけど、信頼と信用はまた違う話よね。
This is our second time seeing the bird, I believe. I remember the first time we saw it was in the beginning when Alco went into that study room. So the bird puffed out its stout chest in agreement, and Alco was none the wiser to her roommate's rather unsettling comments. Okay, next day. The following day was a typically overcast one. The day's classes ended as they had started, uneventfully. Winter break was just around the corner, and with final exams. Although Misaki High prided itself on discipline, it was still a private school, and such promoted a culture of independence among its students. Industrious students had a place to explore that side of themselves under the guardianship of the student council president. More easygoing students could spend their time after school as they wished, as long as they were mindful of personal responsibility. The fact that the poster boy of independence was the student council vice president indicated just how vast the spectrum was.
Aozaki, iruga?
Oh man, dang, what did do? Barge push, like slam the door open? Tobimaru Tsukihime threw open the door to the satellite student council room and the rumored location of their secret meetings. Despite all appearances, he was the student council vice president, who also happened to be the poor soul responsible for executing the student council's dirty work. One person was waiting for him in the cramped room. The student council president, Alco Aozaki, sat imperiously in a folding chair, glaring at Tobimaru and his boisterous entrance.
相変わらず寒いなこの部屋。なあ、今度ストーブ購入しようぜ。
Wait, what's this text message from? Oh. I was like, who's texting me? So as not to succumb to Aoko's oppressive silence, Tobimaru opened with some casual small talk.
お疲れ様。ところであんた、何しに来たのか分かってる？
まあな。ただ、事務的に話すのって寒いじゃねえか。少しぐらい世間話でもしねえとつまらねえだろ。
Tobimaru closed the door and sat down across from Aozaki. He was holding a blue envelope.
こういう時は無駄口は叩かない方がいいわよ。なんとなくプロっぽいでしょ。
なる。いや。
Tobimaru was halfway to agreeing with Aozaki. Aoko, before he caught himself and began to shake his head. As much as Tobimaru enjoyed the lack of red tape in his new line of work, he was not ready to turn full spy on his first day on the job.
それで、調べ終わったの？
ああ、ついさっき最後の聴取を済ませてきた。詳しいことはその封筒に入ってる。お前から渡された例のファイルもそんなか。
You're tossing this envelope. This is business.
そう。
Aoko picked it up and began to scan through the documents that were inside. She entered her own little world, not sparing the slightest bit of attention to Tobimaru. If ignoring other people were a skill, she would be a master at it. Man.
なあ。
何？
一つ聞きたいんだけどよ。
だから、何？
The room was filled with a chilling silence. Aoko continued reading without an ounce of emotion upon her face. Though Tobimaru kept up an air of indifference, his stare remained fixed intently on her.
青崎、そういうの作って楽しい？
楽しいわけないでしょ。こんなの作ったところで、あんまり使う機会なんてないんだから。
そうか。ならいい。
It's right, yeah. Whether or not he was convinced, Tobimaru stood up from his chair with a disappointed expression. He was hoping that she was. Why, are you into this,
最後まで
Tobimaru?
読めばわかるだろうが、あんまり確証は取れなかったぜ。というより、おとといあの辺りにいた生徒はいないって話になりそうだ。まあ断定はできないけどな。
No longer concerned over his task, Tobimaru headed towards the door. As if to say, it was out of his hands.
そうだ。
Oh, what's up?
そういえば、一人だけ該当しなかったやつがいる。季節外れの転入生までは、青崎も調べきれなかったみてえじゃねえか。
That means only one person. Aoko raised her head ever so slightly. He was right. The recent transfer student was not included within the scope of her
そ
investigation.
んなわけで、その字に関しては調べてないぜ。まあ、あいつならいつだろうと遅くまでバイトだろうが。いや、人殺しを見たなんてこと口走ってるようじゃ。家で悪い夢でも見てたのかもしれねえか。
Oh! Tobimaru cheerfully left the student council room. Simultaneously, Aoko felt her fingers go numb, and the document she was holding spilled all over the table.
そんな、まさかね。
She broke out into a cold sweat and tried to tell herself that there must be some kind of mistake. However, the uncomfortable feeling in her gut would simply not go away, perhaps because her intuition was almost always right at times like these.
バカらしい。
Man, wrong place, wrong time, man. And yet, she knew what she had to do. She would not have hesitated to kill Tobimaru if he had been the witness. That's messed up. But if it was him, yeah, considering your feelings, you know, just considering the possibility caused her blood to run cold. Aoko put her forehead in her hands and began to brood. And then suddenly...
Let us talk choice. You always be faced with choices. A virtuous fool and a wicked sage. You cannot say both. You must pick one. And that freedom, okay, whatever, is granted to you.
2 years earlier, Ako muttered the words offered by her grandfather the day she replaced her elder sister as his successor, and let out a sigh of lament.
すごくバカみたい。
Yeah, that's messed up. She laughed at her own intuition, but it was no joke. If only these words had never been said. Ako locked up the student council room and left for the day. Calmly as though nothing untoward had happened, she greeted the students as they passed her in the hallways. She was almost shocked by how natural she seemed. There were still plenty of students at the school. The grounds were noisy, and the chattering of students who had finished the day but had yet to come home. Others still had club activities. Was it Sojiro though? Because I know that he saw something else another night, and it was related to that lady with glasses. But he saw this too? Hopefully this doesn't lead to some misunderstanding. The gray sky looked ready to pour, but nobody seemed ready to pay it any mind. Amidst the clamor, Ako had hastened to the school gate. She passed by some students in animated conversation. They seemed to be talking about their after-school plans. Apparently they were adamant about maximizing their free time. She could not figure how they could possibly be so irresponsibly focused on fun, but at the same time was in no mood to make fun of or feel envious of them. 2 short years prior, she had been just like them. Now it's all business. That's how it be.
目は覚めてるのかな、私って。
She retied her scarf, this time more tightly, to give off an air of solitude, but she was fooling no one. After all, what people who feign solitude are really masking is
そう
rejection.
よね。孤独っていうのはああいうのを言うもんでしょうし。
Yeah, you're in solitude because you're rejecting socialism? I don't know. The area by the school gate was busier than usual. A group of boys appeared to be huddled behind it. Their transparent attempt to be discreet in terms of both location and loudness of voices did nothing to hide the fact that they were noisily arguing about a girl standing alone at the other side of the street. Oh, who is this girl? Oh, it's Alice. What is she doing here? The girl was cloaked in a black cape. At first glance, it could have been mistaken for normal attire, but those from Misaki could tell that she wore the uniform of a prestigious girls' school. Said school had no connection to Misaki High in any way, shape, or form. The two schools were miles apart, both physically and spiritually. I'm actually curious about an interaction with Alice and Sojiro. Considering how Alice acts and then how Sojiro is, that'd be kind of interesting. How would the conversation go with them? A member of that school's student body was a rare sighting, as the majority were forced to live in the school student dorm. Ryuin Girls Academy had a reputation as a school for princesses, and it was rare indeed for one to be slumming with the common folk. That alone would have been enough to cause a ruckus among the boys, but this girl looked the epitome of class. Epitome. One could not help but describe the standing figure as charming. The way she silently motionlessly waited as reminiscent of a meticulously composed portrait. Why are all these words long as heck? The way she silently, motionlessly waited was reminiscent of a meticulously composed. Like what? Ako took one look at her before instantly recalling that one word: solitude. Solitude and rejection.
うちの男子どもは家に帰りもせず陰でこそこそやってるのはそういうこと。
Disgusted, Ako barged through the gate. At this point, she would normally head home, but today she crossed the street towards the waiting girl.
あれなるは生徒会長様。くそ、おっぱらう気なのかよ。痛いんならいつまでだっていさせてあげればいいじゃんか。
That's her roommate.
てか怒られるのあの天使。よその生徒でも校門前にいるぐらいなら別に問題はないと思う。
Y'all background characters over here watching. Be quiet.
青子女子は容赦ねえからな。下手すると平手だぜ。
That's what I'm saying. Like, the boys ran their mouths behind her back. Not in the mood to shut them up, Aoko walked straight up to the girl and offered an informal wave.
どうしたのアリス。こんなところに来たって何も面白いことはないって言ったのに。
ありえね
Aoko heard the boys by the gate lose their collective minds and did their best to ignore them.
あのことを確
She's
か
like,
に
they're friends?
青子、あの人たち邪魔なんだけど。
分かってる。今追っ払うから。
No, those are spectating. That's weird. That's weird when you think about it. Like, this is watching. In contrast to Alice's small voice, Aoko spoke loud and clear. Naturally, this was on purpose, as to deal with the riffraff by the gate all at once.
会長こっち来んぞ。おい押すなよ。後ろのやつどけって。
Yo, these things are watching. You're weird. You're weirdos.
いやでもあの子会長と知り合いなんでしょ。うまく会長に紹介してもらうとか。
they think they have a chance?
さすが一年坊主。まだ戦場の現実ってもんを理解していねえ。
Perhaps because too many of them had gathered in one place, the mob entered a frenzied panic as they tried to escape. Aoko addressed them all.
さーて、部活動があるわけでもなし、ただ家に帰るだけの帰宅部の皆さん、こんなところで何を集まってるのか教えてくれる？
The student council president stared daggers at the boys.
何しろ試験前だもの。身になることなら私も教えてほしいけど、まさかガン首並べて女学院のお嬢様を眺めてただけ。声をかける勇気もなくて眺めてただけ。
Dang, call them out. That's true. They did not have any guts to do any of that too. Not one of them was brave enough to admit that this hit the nail in the head. If any of them had such courage, they would have already been chatting the young lady up.
いや僕教室にちょっと忘れ物が。こんなオチならダメ元で玉砕しとくんだった。
You should have already made a move.
天文部に行って
You should have known it was
召喚
going to go
借りるの
down
どう
this
だ。
way.
屋上からお顔を賜るとか。
These guys, freaks.
天文部にそんなのねえよ。あるとしたら野鳥同好会じゃね。
They
そ
really
れ
trying to
先月
just.
隊長が潰したじゃん。鳥めでてる暇があるなら彼女作れって。
ああ、彼女作れですか。
くっさ、じゃあな会長、また明日。
And with those oh so charming remarks, the boys scattered with their tails between their legs.
楽しそうね、青子。
あ、わかる？
Aqua's response slipped right out all too easily. Truth is, there were not many bad apples at Misaki High, and dealing with them wasn't really that bad.
で、
Yeah,
ここ
what's
ま
up?
で
Why
出
are you
なきゃって
here?
こと
What
は
business do you
何か分
have?
かったの？
結界に残っていた気配の識別は、あとはここで確かめればいいだけよ。
そう。ん？アリス、
She'd been watching
いつからここ
everyone
に？
who leaves the gate.
下校時刻から。
She had been here for roughly an hour. Standing in the same place for an hour would be taxing for someone as sensitive to the cold as Alice.
悪いわね、無理させて。
別に好きでやってることだから。
Okay. As she spoke, her black eyes were fixed upon the gate and the students passing through it. She had likely been observing the gates for the past
私
hour.
を待ってたわけじゃないんでしょ？今からでも付き合うわ。
Alice nodded in assent. If Alice was still here, that meant she had not found the witness yet. If she had found the student, Alice would have already gone home ahead of Aoko and begun the search of the student's background.
私の方はダメだった。
She reported the results to Otomaru's investigation. Alice remained silent. With that, the conversation ended, leaving the two silently endure the freezing wind. The silent stakeout dragged on endlessly. Students continued to pass the gate, each shocked at the sight of the unusual combo, and head home. After 20 minutes, Aoko let a sigh escape her mouth, perhaps from boredom, perhaps from the cold, and perhaps from both.
ねえ、アリス。帰り黎明に寄ってかない？
Aoko quickly turned to Alice to catch her reaction. Dawn was the name of Aoko's favorite coffee shop. offering no clear indication to whether she was critical of Aoko's blasé attitude or agreeing onto her whims. Alice's gaze shifted ever so slightly. Aoko followed her stare.
あれ青崎も待ち合わせか
The sudden voice took her off guard. There's only one person who spoke with a gentle, good-natured tone.
そう。やっぱそうなるわけか。
Turning her back to Alice, Aoko moved her focus to the newly appeared student.
それで、今日は何の用？
Oh boy. Oh no, Sojiro, oh man. All politeness flew out the window. Already in a bad mood, Aoko's mood plummeted the longer she looked at Sojiro. The subtle of her expression, however, was lost on me.
いやこれから駅前で水泳部の部長と待ち合わせなんだけどそのことでお礼を言っておきたくて
Well, that was completely unexpected. Thanks? Joining a club? Aoko had a hunch that he was about to say something brainless.
ふーん。お礼って、お礼参りってこと？
Yo, and Alice over here watching all this. Hey, yo, what's up? You said payback, right? Unfortunately, Sojiro was completely unaware of the more sinister implications to the word payback.
よくわからないけどそんな大したことじゃないよただ水泳部は夏までそう忙しくないって話だったから
That makes sense. Sojiro was just about to thank her for recommending a club that would not take much of his time when Aoko cut him off with an expression of disinterest.
当然でしょ。幽霊部員になりそうな生徒なんて紹介できないから。忙しいあなたでも務まりそうな場所があったから口に出しただけよ。
なるほど無駄がないね。
His open admiration for sapped Aoko's will to fight. Finding a suitable club and negotiating with his captain hadn't been an efficient use of her time at all.
とにかくお世話になったからそれで礼を言っときたくて
Sojiro with his pure self. Sojiro gratefully dipped his head, but not before the flustered Aoko stopped him.
よしてよ。今あなたにそんなことされても迷惑だから。それで、水泳部はどう？やっていけそう？
Sojiro swimming. I don't know why that cracking me up all of a sudden. An awkwardness infiltrated her previously sharp gaze. Sojiro was able to pick up on the odd change in her behavior, but could not divine its reason. So he simply started with what he knew so far and reported the most recent information he had.
ああ、水泳部はクビになった。
Sojiro, you never fail to surprise me, man. You always surprise me. How did that even happen? Aoko instinctively shouted at the unexpected response. Like a human jack-in-the-box. This unexpected development threw her mind into a oh, I've never seen that thing on top right. But, oh, wait.
それはこれからヤシロギの温水プールに連れて行ってくれるからだよ。
It's off, right? Good. Keep that off. Go back up, because I missed what they said before. It was on auto for a second. But you said you were on the way to meet the captain? Yeah, the captain is taking me to the heated pool in Yashirogi. Sojiro stated this, right? Wait, what? So what happened, man?
話がつながらない。そこまでうまくいってるのに、どうして入部を拒否されるのよ、あんたは。
So I'm saying, what's going on, man?
そりゃ、俺が泳げないからだろ。
Oh, man. Aoko reached up with her fingers and pinched the bridge of her nose as she processed his answer.
しずきくん、昨日の私の質問は覚えてる？走るのか泳ぐのか、どっちがいいかってやつ。私の記憶は正しいけど、一応確認しておくわね。あなた、確かに泳ぐ方だって言ったけど。
ああ、昔から泳げないのはなんとか克服したかったんだ。
Okay. I see where his logic was with that, but come on, man. Her energy spent, Aoko finally understood.
俺が1年なら1から鍛えてくれたらしいんだけど、
Oh, if he was in his first year, but since he's a second year, they're not going to waste their time. That's kind of messed up. I mean, don't y'all want members or?
あと3ヶ月で3年になる身分なのに金槌の部員は雇えないそうだ。
I guess that makes sense.
けど部長が親身になってくれてこれから泳ぎを教えてくれることになったんだ
Oh,
よ。
so he's so willing to teach you, but he won't be a member. Sojuro's words were spoken from a place of joy. In fact, that failed to reach Aoko.
はあ、つまり欠陥品を売りつけたってわけか。こりゃ水泳部の部長に合わす顔がないと。ちょっと待った。
Captain A. The captain's a what?
しずきくん、水泳部の部長って。
Who's the captain? She stopped herself short. A girl. She's afraid of how that might look, that she might not be able to rein herself in as she started.
もういいわ。気持ちは分かったからどこか遠くにいてくれない？少し疲れてて、とてもじゃないけどあなたの相手はしていられないの。
wait, hold up. Wait, what? Wait, so wait, they were about to go on a trip together? Wait, the captain's a girl too? Wait, what? I forget what they said. If they went on like a trip to some place. They were planning a trip, but he said no. Some hot spring. But anyways, and
飛び丸もそんなことを言ってたな。
then she's also willing to train
青崎は
like
昨日と今日
swim club captain
珍し
like
く疲れてるって
crushing on Sojiro
何
like
かあったのか？
don't say anything.
ちょっとね。でもいいの。解決したみたいだから。それより、しずきくんはどう見える？私、そんなに疲れて見えるのかな？
Why had she asked him this? Blurting out some things for no reason and on impulse. This was not usual for Aoko. Perhaps it was because she realized that this would be their last chance to have a normal conversation. After a few moments of contemplation, Sojiro conjured up a grin and cut straight through the tension.
そうだな。疲れているというより生き生きしているように見える。仕方なく畑を耕していた狼が久しぶりに狩りに出ることになって機嫌を上げている感じだ。
He had a way with words. That's I like that. He seemed so cheerful. Like he was so happy for her. Without thinking, Aoko's hands went to her cheeks. If what he said were true, she was grinning from ear to ear. There was no way she would have made such a mistake.
とにかくありがとう。じゃあ、また明日。
Perhaps still not comfortable enough to wave to her, he said his goodbye with sincerity in his voice and smile, and took his leave.
待って。こんな話があるの。聞いてから言って。
Aoko called out after him. Her voice was cold as she admonished herself for having been somewhat affable earlier. What was that sound? See?
意味のない例え話よ。そうね。あなたが空腹で死にそうな時、目の前に同じように空腹で死にそうな2匹の動物がいるとするわ。しずきくんに銃をあげる。それでどちらかの動物を撃って。右はライオンで、左は子猫。選ぶのはあなたの自由だから。
It was a fable-like moral dilemma, especially the way in which it was cruel and rather preachy. The kind that if you thought too hard about it, you would never find the answer. Sojiro answered quickly and calmly.
いや、撃たないと思うよ。だって自分の好きにしていいんだろ。それにほら、空腹ならお互い様だ。
He was not in the least fazed by the dilemma. He gave the most innocent response, so innocent in fact that it would give anyone pause.
長生きするわ、あなた。
すごいセリフだな。そんなことを言われたのは多分君が初めてだ。
Sojiro is a really interesting character, man. I can't find any reason to dislike his character. Adoring his face with a smile, woefully out of sync with his comment.
何よそれ。
She regretted stopping him. If only she had just watched him go, this conversation would have never happened. Sojiro Suzuki made his way down the sloped street. Today, just like every day, he probably had to work late again. Only Aoko and Alice remained, and with Alice doing what she could to simply blend in.
つくづくこっちのペースを乱してくれるわね。
Aoko clenched her right fist tightly as she cursed out loud, anything to prevent herself from screaming at the top of her lungs. Whether that scream would be directed towards Sojiro or toward herself was another matter entirely. Aoko heard Alice's soft voice behind her. Aoko knew what she was going to say, as she had known for the entire time. Ever since Alice, having shown no reaction to any other student, changed her expression upon seeing Sojiro. Oh man.
言わなくてもいい。あいつでしょ、目撃者は。
Her voice was cold as ice. It was a voice of someone talking about a complete stranger. The lion and the kitten. There were pros and cons of choosing these animals, the point being that she had asked him to choose one of them. In terms of risk, the lion was the more dangerous choice. The instant the gun was pointed at it, there was a chance it would fight back. Those who chose the lion required more courage, but any sense of guilt that came with holding a gun would be forgotten. Lions are fierce creatures, a poor excuse to shoot an animal perhaps, but one that certainly helped alleviate the guilt. But what about the kitten, the weaker creature? It goes without saying that the kitten would be the easier target of the two, but choosing it would be a disquieting decision for anyone. Even if the kitten had no chance to survive, it was still too senseless to carry out. And to Aoko, Sojiro was that choice.
てっきり私もそうだと思ってた。
When she had felt that sinking feeling in the student council room, she ignored it. There was no getting around what must be done, she told herself. Until that is, Sojiro went and said what he did, causing her resolve to waver. But the discomfort in her chest did not stem from any guilt she may have felt. She could care less for Sojiro. He was weak and would be incredibly easy to deal with. Yet for some reason she could not dispel her reservations. A transfer student who moved to the city from the middle of nowhere, with no family to speak of. Few would notice if he were to suddenly disappear compared to a person of some renown. If she were to kill him, it would be as simple as wriggling a cat's neck. Dang. It all served just to piss her off. It was too lucky. Like everything was neatly handed to her. She wanted to just drop kick it right into orbit.
信じられない。私嫌がってる。これは違う。こんなの私じゃない。
That sucks. Staying behind her, Alice heard all the muttering. Nevertheless, she seemed ignore it and said,
首に布を巻いていたわね。
Yeah, what was that thing around his neck? I'm glad someone's asking. Thank you, Alice. A wholly unrelated topic. Aoko returned to her senses.
首？ええ。水泳部の首とかけていたのかしら。
Alice had put so much thought into this, as if it had a deeper meaning meaning to her somehow.
そういえば、あいつ初めて会った時も首に布巻いてたっけ？襟を行儀よく締めてるから目立たないけど。
The conversation turned to idle nonsense, and though it solved none of her current problems, it did help calm Aoko's frazzled nerves.
サンキュー。落ち着いたわ、アリス。それと、気合も入った。善は急げ。あいつが言いふらす前に決着をつけよう。
He's not going to spread it. Well, he actually did say some things already, so. Pumped once more, Aoko turned her back to the school gate. For now, they would retire to the mansion and prepare for battle. And take out Sojiro, man. Where and when? She said quietly so as not to be overheard by anyone else. Normally Aoko had to rein in that side of Alice, but out in the open as they were, this was far from a normal situation.
今日の夜、 場所はとっておきの夢の国よ。
She gave a fearless laugh, a strangely pleasant sound, like the kind one would make when meeting their lover. Said we'll sleep on it then. Or are they going to do it tonight? Oh snap, yup. Next, okay. So this is for next time, everyone. Is there anything in the archive? Before... Oh, what's this? Oh, this is literally the chapter. Okay. Man, okay, this is getting real good, man. Sojiro, man, what are you doing? Getting caught up in this. Anyways, yo, I'm gonna end it right here for today. I like it. I like how it saves so much. Oh man, out of all the people, I had to be Sojiro. I mean, I knew it was gonna be him out of all people. I mean, unless they had some other characters that we met throughout this. I mean, Tobimaro came to mind, but I was like, wait, would it have been him? I like how Aoko said, oh, if it was Tobimaro, I would have killed him easily. Like, no hesitation. I mean, other than that, there's also Hizuki, but yeah, there wasn't like too many characters. What's an extra? What's this? Oh, archive sound mode? Oh, I can see like the different... Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay. What's CGR? What's CG mode? Is this only the CG I've seen so far, or will it show other stuff that I haven't seen yet? Right? Yeah, it's only gonna show stuff that I've seen. There's some cool CG in this. That's cool. But yeah, anyways, I think it's something. What's certain things I want to say? I think there's something else I wanted to say, but I forget what it is. Anyways, thank you for tuning in for this. What we have on our poll: who is everyone's favorite Type Moon protagonist? 4 votes. Let me end this poll now. Who won on the poll? Is it going to show me? I guess it's not. I saw Toho Shiki as the #1, so I guess Shiki was the most. Dang, why didn't it let me like save it? Usually pops up afterwards, but I guess not. Did it come up? No, it didn't. Okay, well, anyways, okay, well, that happened. Anyways, thank you for tuning in again. I'll see y'all on Monday. Am I good Monday? Yeah, I'll see y'all on Monday for the next stream. And yeah, anyways, I have some other stuff on the channel, and I'll be streaming some more stuff towards as we get close to the end of the year. Maybe some end of the year streams, some fun stuff. We'll see. But anyways, until then, I'm looking forward to what happens in future streams for Witch of the Holy Night. And yeah, next time we have chapter 10. So yeah, the Night of the Witches, right? That was the name of the chapter. So yeah, anyways, until then, have yourselves a nice day. Let me actually get my closer ready. Which closer song do I want to play today? What song do y'all want to hear? I like that choice too. Oh man. That's all I gotta say. See y'all later. Peace and out.